Counselor Fitzgerald.
Here.
Counselor Schilling.
Here.
Counselor Shane.
Here.
Counselor Barrientos is excused.
Okay, so the first thing we need to do is approve our minutes from our last meeting, which was in October. Is there any comment or changes that we need to make to the last meeting minutes?
Move to approve.
Second.
Great, so we have a approval and a second. All in agreement?
Yeah.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? There's no one left.
Unanimous.
Okay, so it passes unanimously. So we were supposed to have a fire department update, but our fire chief might be busy.
I think the first item is the city manager update.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, good.
And
I
I'm
skipped
here.
right over you.
That's
Brian,
okay.
sorry.
You're welcome to do that. We're trying to get a hold of Chief Wallace, so.
Oh, okay.
See if she will, I know she's working today, so hopefully she's just being hung up. But my update is on the public safety building. And so we've signed the agreement for the purchase agreement with the Itemizer Observer and the owner Eagle Press. We are doing our due diligence now. The closing date's no later than March 21st. So we want to try to have everything wrapped up by the first week of March, knowing what decisions we want to make. And so there's two items really that we're working on. One is just an environmental assessment. We'll do a phase 1 environmental review. We're under contract with, well, we signed the contract and sent it to them. We're going to execute one back with a company called SLR. We have it back. We received it back. So we received that back today. They are a company that we've utilized before. The Bank of America purchase. They did 2 phase 1 environmentals for us because that took so long. The first one expired. We had to get a new one. But this one is, with this project, they felt that they could easily accommodate our timeline. And so that's been executed. They'll come down probably in the next few weeks and do the work.
Is there anything about that building, unlike the Bank of America building, which at some point in the history had been a gas
Yeah,
station?
that was going to be my question. I don't know the whole history of the building. Is there any reason to think there's a brownfield issue there?
So the 2 buildings that are there currently were built in 1971 and 1980. And so it would have been something prior to. So I don't know what took place prior on to those 2 buildings being built on that property. There was obviously something. So that'll be part of the work that SLR will do.
So if there's a skeleton in the closet, it's something we don't know about now.
Correct.
That's why you did the phase 1.
So that's why you're doing the phase 1. It's just to discuss. It's really a discovery. What is there? What potentially is there? So they'll be doing that research for us. But the Itemizer staff have been made aware, and we have access to the building and property. So they'll be able to get in. They'll look for stuff like asbestos. They'll look for any subsurface materials or things that might be a problem.
They actually have to check lead paint too.
Yep, they'll check lead paint.
Yeah.
Because it was 71.
Yeah,
It was
right.
72. It was
Almost. So we'll see, but they'll come back and let us know what environmental issues are there. We'll get a report from them probably by the end of January, early February would be the timeline that I would expect. So that's in process to get done. Any questions on the environmental? Okay. And I think the cost for that was it just like 6,000, 7,000? 6,500. Yeah, 6,500, somewhere in there.
And where is that money coming from?
It's going to be coming out of the admin professional services budget. So we put money in there for things like this that come up. And then the other one is, so that next step is to engage with an architect so the architect firm that we're engaging with is the same one that we worked with when we were looking at the public safety combined facility over there. And that's McKenzie Architecture. They're a firm out of Portland. And they have structural folks within their team. So they're going to come out and kind of do a structural analysis of the building, be able to determine, is the building as it's built today sufficient for loads of a second story.
What about seismic?
They'll look at the seismic. They'll look at all the things that we kind of need to figure out. But it's going to be kind of the broad conceptual. Can you do a second story? Can you how much square footage could you get out of that? What does the police department need? Where could those things go? It's just kind of conceptualizing it without doing any major design work.
Assuming for the sake of discussion that we can do a second story,
Yep.
how many years do you think that buys us in ballpark, just ballpark?
And Chief, if you had what's that gonna be, about a 15,000 square foot building, what was that bias? You had mentioned that before.
They told us when they first approached back in 2016, 17 timeframe, they said that best case scenario, an agency of our size, and a city of our size, should have somewhere around 19,000 square feet, and that will take you about 50 years of growth. So with less than that, probably safe to say at least 40 years of growth, just depending on how the growth goes.
None of us in this room is going to have to worry about it.
Right, so, but
Hey,
maybe some of us will see it, David.
Well, we might see it, but we won't have to worry about it.
Right, yeah. So, but right now, just the IO portion of the building is 5,600 square feet. Then our portion is another, what do you think our size is?
Seems like that was
A little under 4. So we have about, 9,000 square feet.
Increment.
Right. So then you add a second floor on that. If you get the full, you're looking at about a 18,000 square foot space dedicated for the police department.
would the architect also be taking into account secure parking?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
so we will look at the reconfiguration of the parking lot, spaces, stuff like that. All that's going to be discussed. And certainly, what's most important is understanding how much, can you put a second story on it?
Mhm.
If you can, what's that cost? So kind of big picture cost. I told him, I said, I'm looking plus or minus like $1 or $2 million. I want to, a big scale there. And then I also wanted to look at tearing it down and building a new 2-story structure there, sized similarly to what we would get with secure parking and other things. And so they'll put some rough numbers together in both of those scenarios. And then we'll have that information to give to the council before your second meeting, probably in February, just to look at it and say, yeah, we're good with this. Let's purchase it or not.
If we do a complete replacement of what's there, or actually even if we don't, are we looking at having to do some kind of grant funding to do the project?
You'll probably have to do a bond, no matter what. So again, the ARPA funds is slated to purchase the building. So that's that $660,000 or whatever we bought it for. And then you would access a bond coupled with grant dollars. There might be some grant funding out there to support the construction of a police station. So we would certainly look at grants, but you'd be asking your citizens to help pay for that. Which for a 40-year building at 25-year cost of repayment, you're getting good value.
Oh, that's eminently reasonable. Sure.
Yep. So, and we'd probably slate that question for May of 25 as a matter of timing.
When would we need to get it on the ballot?
May of 25.
Oh, we would go on the ballot in May of 25.
Yeah.
So when would we need to get it,
So you'd have
petitions and all that?
you wouldn't do a petition for a bond.
No,
Oh,
we just do it.
No, you put the question on the ballot,
great.
and then the citizens give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. So we would be doing, we'd certainly be prepping, working with, say, McKenzie to do the full design of the building, so we know what it is, we know exactly how much it costs within a much more reasonable buffer. Right, $1 to $2 million buffer is really big. I just looked at for a concept, but once you start designing it, we're going to know within, probably $400,000 or $500,000. So we'll scale that down, maybe even smaller than that, to a couple $100,000, and then value engineer based on inflation and things like that you need to do with most projects that are bond approved. So we'll work on that when we get there. But for now, we're just getting them on board to look at that. That again will be paid out of admin's professional services budget, which we have capacity to do that. So those are really the two steps on that project. So that's my report.
We'll hear back from you in late winter.
Yep, you'll hear back from me. You'll have an opportunity in this committee to be updated in January. Oh, February, you're right. Anyways, your committee structure is being reorganized a little bit. You'll find out about that soon.
Okay.
Yes, public safety will still be in odd number of months, or even number of months. February. You'll have an opportunity to hear about this in February.
I'm just going to say late winter.
Right, we'll buy it.
Excellent.
You did perfect. I messed that one up. I'll stop talking now.
All right. Thank you. And thank you very much for the update. I think it's important that we keep things moving forward and that a lot of us are missing from this, really start to hype this up. Okay, now, and she's here, we have a fire department update.
You see, we were assuming you had some emergency today.
I did.
You didn't need to tell us.
I mean, we could have kept our other meeting date, and you could have come in on the 25th.
And Chief Wallace, if you can turn that microphone on, that'd be great. Good.
Can you hear me now? Thank you. Well, good afternoon. I'll give you an update on where we are with our staffing. We're fully staffed. I'm assuming that you are aware that everybody's mostly dual role. We have 3 that are not, 3 single roles still. We have 11 paramedics, 2 EMT intermediates, 1 EMT advanced, 5 EMTs, 1 is still waiting to take his test for the advanced. The difference between EMT intermediate and advanced and EMT basic is the level of skill. So the intermediates and the advanced can provide a higher level of EMS delivery. So they can start IVs, they can administer more medications and do a few more things than a basic EMT can do, which helps when we're running 2 ambulances. They can also handle a lot of those ALS calls.
And do we train our advanced in-house?
We did this time, and I should probably add to that. What we did is we partnered with Shemeketa. Shemeketa came to put on a class, but we also offered availability to Southwest Polk, Sheridan, and Grand Ron to attend the class as well. We do have instructors that we're working on to be able to teach that level, but it would be more of research as opposed to the actual course itself.
Are basic, intermediate, and advanced simply HR distinctions, or are there certifications involved?
It's certifications.
Okay.
So EMT basic is not allowed to start IVs. There's very limited amount of medications they can provide. As you progress into the level of EMS certification, that's when you're allowed to provide a higher level of care. You're able to do those IV starts and administer medications. The intermediate EMTs can also do cardiac monitoring too. There's just a few things that they cannot do that paramedics would handle.
And so Chief Wallace, it's kind of wonky too, because it goes basic, advanced, intermediate.
Yes.
So that's the hierarchy. It's not,
Oh, really?
it's not basic, intermediate, advanced. It's basic, advanced, intermediate.
And I have to
Thank you
write,
for explaining
yeah,
that.
and I
'cause
have to write it down because I get it backwards, the intermediate and the advanced. So the advanced would be first and then the intermediate, or basic, yes.
That is definitely
It
counterintuitive.
is different.
Yeah, and also I think it's fantastic that our department has figured out a way, not only in-house, but to partner with other agencies to take, I don't want to say our people, but to take our employee, to take, and offer them an opportunity to advance their skills, which of course is good for us.
Right.
But by partnering with Shemeketa, or however you want to do it in the future, I think that that's brilliant.
It worked out really well for us. In fact, we have one of our flexible schedule employees wants to also get his advanced, so he'll start with classes this next term at Shemeketa. And then we have one of our full-time employees also interested in that too. So it really has created an opportunity for advancement within our structure as well. I'm happy to tell you that we have 4 recruit firefighters that 3 of them have already completed the basic firefighter training. One of them she's currently going through the recruit academy now. So we should have 4 brand new responders, home responders, so volunteers, probably by February. So currently our suppression for volunteers sits at, we have 24 active suppression members, 7 support, and 5 chaplains. We just added the 5th chaplain. So I don't know if you were aware, but Engine 101 was out of service for a couple of weeks. It had a blown head gasket. So it now has a brand new motor and a turbo. Seems to be working very well. Both of those come with warranties. So we were assured by the dealership that they were at that they should be able to operate full send is what they told us. So we'll see how that goes.
And how did we pay for that engine repair?
We are paying for that, came out of fleet maintenance initially, but I believe Cecilia is gonna be.
You're gonna do a budget amendment, and it'll be brought out of contingency to pay for that. I think this is about 45,000.
Yeah,
When are we going to see that, next month?
Yeah, you'll have a budget amendment in January.
yeah, it was a little bit of an unexpected expense, but I guess on the good side of this, it's a brand new motor.
How old is engine 101?
2015. It's the one that we've had a few issues with. There was a design flaw
Oh,
where they put the electronics below where the coolant sits. And so there's been a few issues with that. That was the first year of that particular design. I don't know if Pierce has worked through that issue.
but they're not willing to cover their side flaw. Yeah, okay.
No. We recently transitioned to iPads in all of our ambulances and fire engines to replace the tough books that we had. The good thing about this is it's a lot more compatible with our new CAD system, which seems to be more mobile friendly. This also allowed us to be able to connect Wi-Fi in our apparatus. So our personnel have the ability to upload all of their information while they're actually on scene. So they can do their charts while they're still currently with the patient versus having to do that and then go back to the ambulance or the fire truck to have it upload. So it's immediate. We're just working out a few kinks with the Wi-Fi issue on X. It's brand new, but they seem to be working really well. Bless you. Captain Petner and Deputy Chief Rogers have been meeting with some representatives of other Marion County and Polk fire agencies. We've completed the regional fire operation guidelines, which is how fire departments in our area operate. It's if we go to a jurisdiction in Marion County, we all operate the same way on a fire ground. The only thing that they are working through for complete finalization is electric vehicle fires. And that's something that's brand new for everybody. Those haven't been updated since 2014. Myself and Captain Petner are part of a committee for the Community Wildfire Protection Plan. We're working on an update for that as well. This is pretty much how we get grant funds for wildland protection. That has not been updated since 2009. Southwest Polk received a grant for $40,000 to help with this updating this plan. What we didn't expect was that the high cost of updating it. We've received estimates of up to $70,000, which is, I think, really high. However, the remaining balance.
Well, you said
will
up to 70,000. What's the range that you've gotten?
Between 65 and
So
73,000.
it's high any way you slice it. Yeah.
It's really expensive or, oh my gosh,
Really
expensive.
Southwest Polk, is that Fred's agency?
That's correct. Yeah, they received a grant last year from OSFM to update the Community Wildfire Protection Plan. Chief Hurdle is the Fire Defense Board chief, so he took that on that responsibility. I don't think he was expecting it to be a $70,000 update. I don't understand why it's so much, but what we would be looking at doing, and we'll probably work it into our budget for next year, is the remaining will be split amongst 10 agencies. So not quite as a huge impact if it is $30,000 that needs to be split up.
Kim, before our budget sessions, could we get more, another update?
Yes.
Thanks.
So we're part of this committee. The person that's spearheading it is actually the emergency manager for Polk County. He spearheads most of those operations. So he is spearheading finding consultants and other organizations to help update. A lot of times the colleges are willing to do that, but the one bid that we did get for 73,000 was actually from a college. So we've created a new assignment for our transfer ambulance. It's now Medic 104, which keeps Medic 103 in service as our third out ambulance. Deputy Chief Rogers and Kim Storms met with West Valley Hospital last week and talked about our partnership with that. And just so you are aware, year to date, the ambulance has been operating in that transfer capacity since about February, and we've had 331 transfers. And so far this month, we've had 37. So we've been able to handle a lot of those transfers in-house. We have 3 candidates for our executive assistant, which was Ashley Adams's position. Those interviews will take place this coming Wednesday. And then finally, we have, I guess I have a couple more things, but finally, the EOC generator has been delivered, and I'm working with Matt Butler. He's now taken over as the project manager for that. And we're working on getting bids for electrician. We have Home Comfort coming in and doing the gas line. It's a natural gas generator. So Home Comfort will be coming in. A lot of the work has been done in-house with Public Works, and then we'll be working with the Parks Department to put our front yard back together. And then finally, our call volume. So far to date, our EMS calls are 4,159. And the amount of calls that the fire engine has responded on was 2,087. We're still working through how our data is collected, so that's not going to be a total of 6,000 for both. We also have some duplicate calls that are in there because the fire engine does respond quite a bit with the ambulance for an assist. So the way that we collect our data through our report management system, all the analytics on that have been changed. So we're having to take webinars and talk to the developers to figure out how to better run our reports. So that is all that I have.
I'll just give a quick addition and a thank you for April and her department and all their work, and Gary with Austin provided some good work as well on the ambulance service area. The commissioners made their decision. I reported on that and emailed to you all last week. But for those that didn't check your emails, the board approved a new area for Dallas's ambulance service area. They kept the number of areas the same. They had 7 areas throughout the city or throughout the county. Amity was area number 2. Amity is no longer being served. That area is no longer being served by McMinnville. Was it McMinnville that served, or Amity? It was McMinnville,
Yeah,
right? So
McMinnville.
McMinnville Fire served that area. So McMinnville is no longer going to serve that area. That area was given to Southwest Polk and expanded to come down towards Dallas. So they took in a large portion of what was north of the city limits of Dallas and a little bit to the east. And so everything to this, a little bit going up towards Highway 22. Highway 22 is kind of a good boundary line on the north side. So everything south of Highway 22, including Dallas and going all the way down to Falls City and our former area that we had, is still all going to be covered by the city of Dallas.
Where's the boundary up by Falls City then?
So we keep all of that.
Oh, it's the county line?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So then none of that changed?
Nope.
Oh, you confused me.
No.
I think you said in your
No.
email that they decided pretty close to what we were asking for.
Mhm.
Basically, our preferred alternative is what they went with. They made some minor modifications to follow some county road lines and stuff where we just kind of drew the line straight in certain areas. And so they massaged our proposal, our preferred option, and went with that. So we were very happy with that, and it's something that we feel we can survive as an agency at our current level of service and give Southwest an ability to provide good service to the area to the north. So as a provider with an assigned area, I think they'll be able to grow their organization and benefit as well. So it was really a good compromise, and I'm happy with what the commissioners decided. But really good work from April and her team putting a lot of data together. And again, Gary's with Austin in his department getting the GIS maps put together. I think that was very helpful and very it was good information to share with the commissioners. I think it was convincing. So
And then we'll be working with Southwest and WBCC to update those call assignments.
Yep.
Thank you.
You can keep it on. I think Tom's gonna come up.
Okay, and so now we're going to have a police department update from our police chief, from one chief to the next.
I will do my best to get you out of here by 5. I know it's gonna be tough, but kidding.
It's like, wow, what happened?
Anyway, really, I don't have much to update on, except our staffing. I'm just gonna give you an overview of that. We have one of our recruits that remains on field training, should be wrapped up within a couple weeks if everything goes well. And then I have 2 right now, they're in the last stage of the hiring process. That's the psych evals. Those are scheduled for the 1st and 2nd week of January.
Great.
If those go well, we'll be doing a offer, we'll give them some start dates soon after that, so.
If if that happened, would that bring you up to full strength?
I'm getting there, no. My very next statement is that leaves us with 1 vacancy for a police officer, and we're recruiting for that. Today, I just noticed we have 1 in-county lateral applicant that I received an application on.
Oh, good.
So I'm gonna reach out to him. But we're doing the background process right now. We do it with police officer. We can do an initial criminal background check just to make sure it's somebody we are interested in. And we will do that. She's working on that. Should have it done by tomorrow. I'm gonna reach out and get this person scheduled and bring them.
Can you remind me, if it's lateral, we don't have to send them back to DPSST?
That is correct. Well, if it's an in-state lateral, if they're out of state, then we have to send them for a 2-week career officer development
Still
course, they
better.
call it. But this one, basically because he's a working officer in the state of Oregon and in county, he goes straight to a chief's interview. So I'll bring him in, and I bring our union president in as well, just to make sure we get I'm not just picking a person myself, and get a cross section of them. And if that goes well, we'll jump right into the background process.
And just so that we make sure we get this on public record, we have I don't have anything. You have a process by which you ensure we are hiring officers that are coming with a clean background. So we're not taking a different department's problem from them.
We do. Not only do we have a process that melds with the city's process, and we will follow state law. And it even includes the timing of what process comes before and after what. And we do that the way, yeah.
And Chief Simpson, how long is the field training for a lateral? Is it different than a new
The
recruit?
field training for lateral, there's no set time for it. When we brought Jim Welsh in from Salem after being retired, I think his field training was about 3 weeks. The 3-year officer that we brought over from Salem a while back, I want to say he had about 4 weeks. So it's just a matter of, an in-county officer like that is pretty much plug and play. We'll teach them our philosophies and our policies, and there'll be things he has to learn, but he knows the radio system, he knows the DA, he knows the report system, he knows the radio. A lot of that stuff that the recruits have to learn, it's just already there. And if he was coming from out of county, for example, there'd be a little bit of differences we have to work on, but it's not there in county. It's about the best lateral you can get if he's a qualified person that we end up hiring. So looks good. An internal like that could be 2 or 3 weeks easy. But I don't tell my field training supervisors I want this person done by this time. I really got to leave it to them. So.
And how about a new recruit? Someone that comes in green without any prior law enforcement experience.
They're looking at 16 weeks of field training with us internally, and then 16 weeks at the academy. And sometimes the 16 weeks with us gets extended a little bit, because what we see sometimes is that we start them for a while, then they go to the academy, and then they come back. Some of that stuff we got to brush up on. It takes a little bit longer. Ideally, in a perfect world, or a more perfect world before COVID, we would hire them based on the academy start date. We would get them going, have about 2 weeks to get some basic firearm skills down, get some use of force stuff down, get them through our policy manual, and then they go straight to the academy, and they're there for 16 weeks to come back, and then we start field training. With the academy being backed up, that hasn't worked that way for a while now. So we're getting better, and they're doing better on their classes. They're getting ready to make them a lot bigger, busier classes. But we should be getting folks into the academy when we need to sooner. If this works out, we're gonna have to address that for a while.
So Tom, I have one more question.
Sure.
I'm sorry to throw all these questions at you without,
That's fine.
I haven't prepped him for this at all, so he's answering these without me prepping them. So oftentimes when you have a lateral that's been through like DPSST training, if you take, a person from another organization early enough, there's reimbursement that one agency can request from another. How does that work, and what's the, so if this person came over, you said they're 4 years with another agency, would there be any reimbursement that we would have to pay to this other agency? 3 years?
And agencies can charge for that if I have somebody that I hired for, and they've been here for about a year, and they go to another agency in the state. State law says that they have to reimburse me if I request it up to almost the max of his training. And then it's prorated for each year. It's 2/3 after 2 years, and then when they're under 3 years, we get like 1/3 of the cost back. So we've had to pay that. We've been paid for that. So this one doesn't come into play because he's got 4 years under his.
I couldn't remember what the year break was.
Yeah, once you're
3
past
years.
3 years, you're good. And frankly, City of Salem could have charged us for Cody Kyrus when we brought him over. He was just a couple months under the 3-year mark. It would have been minuscule, but they didn't bring it up, so it's too small.
Good.
Anything else? On the civilian side, our support staff, our records clerk, our new part-time records clerk, which will bring us to fully staffed, starts at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on the 26th of December. So she's pretty stoked. Well, it's the day after, but the Tuesday. But she'll be working part-time Monday through Friday, 1 to 5. So she'll start Tuesday afternoon after Christmas.
Great.
So we'll be fully staffed in records and get closer to fully staffed in the officer world. But you never know. You never know when somebody's leaving seniority from one department. Could be because he wants to come to work here. Could be because he doesn't want to work there. Sometimes that comes with baggage, and that's what that comes for. So I'm not getting overly optimistic, but it's a start. Any questions for anything? That's all that I have.
I would like an update on how the word just left my head. We get our data from
The
the
stats from dispatch.
stats, yes. from
We're
dispatch.
making progress there. We're rebuilding what we have now. We have the ability to get the stats. Our daily reports have started. You should be getting the daily reports now. And we have the statistical piece working, so we get that statistical monthly data and be able to do the weekly updates. The last one, you should have seen a report from the police department and the weekly council update. So those will be coming now. The last one that went out should have had the first one. So I'm relatively.
I'm sure I read it, it's not
Yeah.
registering. Okay, good.
You shouldn't have had them blip anymore about we're trying and we can't do this. It's totally reworded now.
Okay, good.
So we're back to doing that. I still have some things I want to clean up on the stats so I can get the weekly stat graph back in that report. Haven't had that back in yet.
And will we be able to go backwards and look at a chunk of time in history?
I don't know the answer to that yet. I think we should be able to, but I thought we should have done this 6 months ago. But I'll leave that at a maybe.
Okay.
Because I need the data because to do my annual stats the right way, I just can't have this big gap that makes it look like we didn't do anything for 6 months. So we're working on that piece, but we're building it bit by bit.
Okay. That was my big question.
Anything else? That's it.
Thanks, Chief.
Kim, was that a hand? Were you raising it?
No.
Were you waving at me?
Sorry.
Tom,
Were
you
you
coming
I
scratching?
don't ever know if you're talking to Kim behind me.
I'm sorry.
You coming to dinner tonight?
I'm like,
Okay, I'll see
if
you
she
then.
follows me, then I'll answer.
I'm sorry.
I almost feel we need to change the seating for this meeting.
It wasn't, but thank you for asking that last question, because I've been
Anything else
curious
we
about
need to
that.
discuss regarding public safety between now and February?
If you ever have any questions that come up in the meantime, just send them my way and I'll pass along the information or the question or answer it.
Just a short feel good blurb. I have always felt the entire time I've lived here that we were blessed.
Yep.
Not only, I mean, with all of our staff throughout the building, but especially these guys.
One thing I would add is this is probably your last session in this format.
I might be done.